in the game. All right.
Let's go, G.
Okay, you guys, we back at it again. We want to welcome you back to the podcast. We brought in the spectacular DJ, but we brought the mama of the year right here, Laura, you understand me? And she didn't really gave us a powerful subject we're going to talk about today, and that's going to be the power of yet. And when we started paying attention to the other day and we started wanting to understand it, it's like really deep, and we're going to go somewhere else. We're like, man, how can you go somewhere else when the power of yet is just like powerful? So
this was yesterday at staff meeting or the day before? Laura had brought this to us, and Gene was like, we can't talk about nothing else. We have to do this right now. So I called him today. I'm like, Gene, come on, we're going to podcast. He's like, I'm calling Laura. I'm like, I don't even know if Laura's available. But all right, let's just see. You know what I mean? So thank you. Yes, we're super happy to have you here and do this with us. We got some stuff for y'all, man. Where y'all want to start?
I think I want to start because when we ask, Laura always does these little things, right? And Laura does nothing without it meaning something. There's nothing she does without it meaning something. So that means she's one of those, like, this is said here and this said here. Trust me, this is going to get where it's supposed to go.
Borderline OCD.
Yeah, so when we were walking into staff, I said, yeah, talk to me. And then she went there, and I was like overly inspired.
Yeah.
And so then we talked about, after that, then we talked about the lightning bolt. And so then she told me this morning, like, hey, I called the lady, but she hasn't hit me back yet. So then I guess today we're going to speculate until she hits her back.
Yeah.
So give us your speculation on the lightning bolt.
Well, first I'll talk about yet and what it means to me, and then we'll go there. So I wear this necklace nearly every day. Sometimes it doesn't match my outfit, but it just says yet on it. I follow a woman on Instagram who created a community of kind of inclusion and acceptance and advocacy and awareness around autism for her autistic kiddo. Peace Love Autism is a great shop and just kind of a community, but she has created merch around the power of yet, and it's this like mantra for parents of autistic kiddos that's kind of really reimagines societal norms that our kids haven't met yet. So instead of saying they can't talk or they can't walk or they can't do this or they can't do that, it's confidently not yet. They can't do that yet. And so her brand has a lightning bolt kind of all over it, which I just think is cool. But for me, kind of thinking about it, as I was trying to interpret yet with a lightning bolt, it kind of has that concept of like lightning and thunder, right? Like one happens and then the next one, is coming. You can tell how far the lightning is by the time the thunder happens after count seconds. Growing up in Oklahoma, thunderstorms, you learn these things, but I think I have them backwards. I can't always quite remember. Thunderstorms scared me as a kid. So, but there's this concept of everything is coming, right? It removes the expected timeline that, again, as a parent, you're like, oh, my kid is 2 months old, he's supposed to be doing this. It's like, well, no, he'll do it when he wants to, right? He'll do it on his time.
When you first said it and introduced it, my first thing was like, man, I love that I get to choose optimism. You know what I mean? It's like, my mind instantly started going to a bunch of places, like as far as like where we could go with it. But the first being is like, I know that I'm not quitting on my kid when I choose that perspective. You know what I mean? And just be like, hey, they're just haven't got to that point yet. You know what I mean? It's like when your kid's potty trained. Some figure out at 1 or 2, some figure out at a little bit later. You know what I mean? It's like
eventually we all figure it out.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Hopefully,
That used to be a thing. So it's like watching that. And that was the first thing that really motivated me by that. Like being able to choose like a positive mentality.
Oh, 100. It's like when you just talk about the lightning bolt and we talk about yet and our kids, right? I saw there was a storm, and then you hear that, and then there's that burst of light, right? And you go, oh, okay. And with our kids, I think the same thing. I think I was explaining to you this morning. I think that's where we had connected when we talked a couple months ago about our kids having different issues. So I had a daughter, she didn't speak till she was 3. Yeah. She had the face that turned until probably about a year and a half ago. Most people didn't pay attention to it because she didn't say a lot, so you didn't see the twitch in her lip, right? And Michelle was really nervous because she was like, is our kid special? I'm like, our kid's special with or without. So that I can care less about. She's special, and to be honest with you, I'm selfish. So maybe she's gonna be at home with us forever and we never see her leave. And we get to have her, and so the old people, she's there for us. And I looked at the positive in like, my baby's home forever. Everybody else want to take off.
Yeah.
And that was heavy to me, you know. So just understanding when you meet other parents and you guys get to talk about these pieces, you go like, this is heavy, because how does some parents, it's like, how does society see it? How are you gonna look at me and my kids? And that's scary because we want acceptance. But then you find a group, and that group is all accepting. And then you sit back and then you start to find out that person never wants to bring their kid around because they're embarrassed by it. And then people like us want our kid in front of everybody because this is normal in a lot of households. So we make this normal, we make other people unburdened with what they might be going through at home.
Well, and I think what kind of this like idea of making it normal, if everyone is on the like train of yet, if you will, then all of the wins, big or small, can be celebrated together. Instead of being ashamed that my kid is 3 and only now just figuring out how to use a spoon, I'm texting my autism mamas, Calvin tried a spoon, he tried whipped cream, and like that is huge, and they're cheering, you know what I mean? But like to parents whose kid was using a spoon at 1 year old, they're like, what's the big deal? Who cares? You know?
And I want to shout out the woman that has this movement going, because for a mother like yourself, you know what I mean? It's like, it gives you a safe space to be like, hey man, I want to celebrate.
Yeah.
Because to a typical parent, or a parent that doesn't have a kid that's going through that, it's just like, what is that? You know what I mean? To celebrate, you know what I mean? So you hate to be able to get shut down. So to have like that community is dope, I believe. You know what I mean? I feel like that's, I don't know, that's something that you underestimate, because it's like, sometimes I have friends that I can only talk to about certain things. If it ain't about basketball or football, it's like, bro, like, I don't want to talk to you about your relationship. You know what I mean? Like, so being able to have somebody that you can confide in is definitely dope.
Well, and I think that it's cool for our community too, and our kids. Like, you know, we were talking about this, like, I haven't graduated yet. You know, like if we start that with everything, it's like, oh, I haven't finished all my homework, or I haven't gotten straight A's, or I haven't shown up to class 100% of the time. Like, I haven't done that yet. And I think that that's really, when we started talking yesterday, I was like, oh, right, like this is so much bigger than my little world, you know, that has like protected my heart and really kind of helped me learn and accept and all the things with autism.
But you shed light because of yours. It's right there, right? And then sometimes we get all these kids in this room that haven't yet.
Yes.
All of them haven't yet. And so when you talked about it, it also made me pay attention yet. Like, this one did something dumb. He hasn't got it yet.
Right.
Do I give up on it? No. He hasn't
Make
got
it
it
more
yet.
patient.
Well, yeah.
You help both of us.
It's like the shortened version of the some get it now, some get it later, some never get it. They haven't got it yet.
That part.
Yeah.
And the ones that never get it just haven't got it yet.
Exactly.
They're gonna get it.
Yeah,
They're gonna get
totally.
it. I don't care if it's just being able to pour the milk into the cup.
100.
Yay! Guys, we're gonna celebrate wins, and we saw that in a lot of podcasts. We talk about is celebrating little wins.
Yeah.
What are little wins? Like I said, my daughter didn't speak till she was 3, and we were sending her to speech therapy, and she would not speak. And I'm telling you, Michelle was so messed up because she's going like, our baby can't speak, right? And it was like, it was really wearing on her.
Yeah.
Me, I was like, hey, we ain't gonna argue with that one.
Well, yeah, they won't talk back. But you wonder, like, what is our life going to, what is their life going to be? You know, that's a fear you have, and yeah, it's.
If we could take this, like, and teach this to our kids, if me and Gene has been going to school since 7th grade, and now we're juniors, we've both been in the same math, the same science. Now junior year, we're in his class, and he's killing it, but I'm not. And I need to be able to know, or be able to be okay with, like, I don't understand it yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And be able to be like, this is just not something I'm just, picking up on that quick. You know what I mean? Because everybody has their times and they high point, at certain grade levels. But like I said, if we could teach that to them individually, like, bro, if you can be patient with yourself in learning things and not expecting to, know how to do it the first time.
And that's something like, and going back on mine, because yours is so young and mine's a lot older.
Yeah.
And I'm learning about it in school, and it's a really scary place because for that kind of school, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And they don't pay for it. Or your kid ends up at a public school stuck into a room with some toys and some coloring pens. So if we're gonna go to schools to get them help, it's so freaking expensive.
Yeah.
And it's scary to me because I look at my daughter where she is. The school she's at now ends at the 8th grade. She's in the 6th grade. She reads at a kindergarten level. Tom, Saul, Pam. And she's still stuck there.
Yeah.
Where my grandson, who's in the 5th grade, blows her out the water, and he will tease her sometimes. I say, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that because as a parent, you now look at the schooling system. So forget our kids that we know are struggling with academics the way that they're handed down to everybody. I'm looking at our other kids that go to these schools, and we don't have trainings for our regular kids. So this kid didn't learn to read in the 3rd grade. So now he's in the 6th grade, and he's struggling with comprehension, right?
Yeah.
So he can read that, he can sound out all the words, but he can't comprehend what he's reading. So he's still going to struggle just like my daughter who has special needs.
Right.
And that's scary because our system are failing our kids that don't have these needs, and then it's really killing our kids who do.
Right.
So I just think we have to really find that as being United States, if we say we're the front of everything, can we get in front of that?
Right. Well, and doubly hard, there's all of that, plus kids can be mean if they aren't taught compassion.
Yes.
And so not only do we have to be fearful for the systems failing our kids, we have to hope that the kids around our kids have been raised with compassion and inclusion and care. We visited our friends in Reno a couple months ago, and they have a 6-year-old who didn't even blink to figure out ways to interact with Calvin. Sometimes Calvin's at the playground and other kids, if he doesn't interact, other kids will just leave him, and he's fine, he doesn't care, he's in his own little world. But Charlie, the 6-year-old, would get in Calvin's space, we were talking about you have to get on their level, would chase him, and Calvin played with him. It was like one of the first times. And I was texting my friend Joey, I was like, I know that, and she's one of my best friends, and I love this child. I was there, like I went visit him the day he was born, all these things. But I said, that's really telling of you guys as parents. Like, you didn't have to teach him how to play with autistic kids, but you taught him taught him kindness and compassion and care to include kids, and like that's all our world needs. I mean, we already talked about that in the last one,
But what you just said, you talked about her, which is very powerful, but also you, because therefore he feels accepting coming in, so then he wants to get the love he gets from mom, gets the love from you, and then he hands it back. So we also talked about that, and other stuff is that feeling belonging. So this person, we're Remy for a minute. Remy is a really good athlete in the gym, helping kids out. He now wants to go to the kids that know nothing and fix your arms like this. Come on, you got it. And you can just see something that he needed to build him. He wants to hand back. So you can just tell just the acceptance, because it doesn't always come from home.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful when it does, but how do we take it? If I come in and say you saw your kid walking by, and let's say you didn't know me, and Calvin walked by, and I'm looking at him like this, you may first thing in your mind, you're like, are you judging my kid right now? And so as a parent, we get up here and we become protective, right? And we're watching, like, oh, boy, you were big, how old are you? And then all of a sudden, your whole thing will change.
Yeah.
So now if we find a way to people coming, when he comes in like this, like, whoa, dude. And you start laughing and joking, now we all start to break that ice, and then it makes people pay attention.
Totally, 100%.
I kind of want to make you guys think about the thing I was having the kids do a couple weeks ago, was handwriting, right? I don't know if you guys can remember when you first start writing your name out.
Oh.
Was it rough? You know what I mean? Like, was your second letter capital and your first one lowercase? You know what I mean?
I'm old as dirt.
Yeah.
So so when I was growing up, we had the page that had line the little The little.
Oh, with the dots in there,
Yeah.
you did. You had to be able to
I
follow.
had that too.
You did? Okay,
Yeah.
so good. I thought.
Is that
No, we all had it.
Is
We
that
all had
my
that.
oldest dirt?
We all had that. No, we all had that. We
Okay,
all had
okay. So I thought, but yeah, you always start off by every capital.
Yeah.
So my name was capital E, capital U. It wasn't until later that you learned, the lower
Yeah.
and upper.
Do you guys remember putting names and putting dates on stuff and like how your penmanship progressed,
Yeah.
right? And I make the kids do this because I feel like it's funny, we're talking about yet like the first. Are you right-handed or left-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Right-handed.
Okay, me too. So if we were to write our names down right now, it'd probably be decent. We're adults. We've been writing our name long enough, but we haven't been writing it with our left hand. If
Yeah.
we were to write it with our left, it wouldn't be as nice as our right.
Yeah.
But if we practice, it would be. And I try to introduce that concept to the kids, once upon a time you didn't know how to write your name out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then eventually you did. You know what I mean? So it's I try to remind them of that, it takes a little bit of time. Sometimes we're not going to just walk into things and just kill it off the dribble. You know what I mean? So I try to hit on that a lot just to remind them, just crawl before you walk.
Yeah. Totally.
I mean, on that, we were talking about artists earlier. And so when we were talking about when I left yesterday, I started looking it up, and there were so many songs written by artists. And then when I listened to the song, it was all, you're going to get it. Just take your time, see it through. You're going to get it. And I don't think they were talking about the kids we're talking about. I think they were talking about themselves.
Yeah.
And I think this becomes a lonely place sometimes. I think we're in this room and I'm trying to figure out, and my friends are starting to fade off, and it's just me, and I'm getting this writer's block, or I'm getting this mental block, or things don't feel like, or when I present it to somebody, people aren't receiving it like I think they should, and I have to persevere and I have to keep going. And it was just really powerful to watch all these different artists. And then what was even bigger was every one of them wanted to have the subtitles on all the songs, because they wanted you to see the words. They didn't want you to make the words up. They wanted you to see the words, and I thought that was heavy, because you could tell that meant a lot to them. And so that being heavy, even somebody that we look up, these great artists that are Grammy winners, making millions of dollars, have these same struggles. And that's powerful. It makes you say, okay, so we're all dealing with our struggles, just at different paces and different times.
Gene was on me about trying to prep for this one, and just going forward. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go bug some of the kids and ask them, I gave them the scenario, we were talking about, I haven't graduated yet, and asking them, what they felt like that gave to them. And a few of them, we end up getting, you narrow your focus. You start to become intentional with what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like you said, with perseverance. Laura, we're talking about a growth mindset. And then the biggest one I feel like, and I made sure I wrote that real big, was removes timelines. When you just tell yourself that you want to get it done and you're determined and you're resilient, and you don't have that, okay, if I don't have it done in 90 days, I'm a failure. Once you remove that, it's now I really can. You know what I mean? The belief is the faith is more higher. You know what I mean? I feel like you get more into it. And I don't know, it's just funny that how this came about was, like you said, a lady that you followed with a group of parents, for autistic kids, and it's crazy that this applies to whole lives in so many different ways. You know what I mean? I wasn't expecting this to be able to spin off the way it is.
It's a movement. And what's powerful about when I was thinking about when you were talking about her earlier, is the lady who did it, I don't think she cared if it became a buzz. Mm-hmm. She needed it for her. Mm-hmm. She needed it for the growth of her child. She needed it for her sanity and her health. And all of us needed it. And so when we talked to you about it, and then you got us sitting back going man, our youth need this, no matter where they are. Our ones that are coming back from the college. We talked about one of the young ladies come here, had that little attitude, and then we're sitting here going, and there's different things going on. So everybody's dealing with different paces and different places. And that's where that movement was just so how do we take that and make it so big that everybody walks into this big old summit that we have that almost becomes like a fair.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to go on the ride and I want to listen to the conversation.
Yeah.
I want to play the little games where I'm setting the little words up, and then I want to go over there and do the coloring with them, because everybody's making me feel good. That little one is coming to me for something, and I'm going to them for something. And if we create that, that's where that empathy, because we put ourselves into them spots, and then we see some of us. And when we see some of us in there, how do you lose?
Yeah.
And I think that's where the world is missing right now, is that's them and this is us. No, that we all cry behind. We're talking about a movie. I was talking to a gentleman. He's from Palo Alto, big real estate guy. His daughter comes to the gym. And so we're shutting the gym down. Me and him are talking 30 minutes about watching a show and trying not to look at people because you're sad and you're ready to cry because of that scene. And then his daughter, who's sitting there, runs over there and like, and I was in the room with my dad, and he comes in, and I have to cover my face because I'm crying at the scene. Right? And so she just jumped in, and all of us are talking about different areas, different things, but how a scene made us all feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And when we talk about that more, we find out we're more alike than different.
Totally. And when you ask for help from someone, which is like the hardest thing to do, no one ever wants to do it. Or when you reach out, that's when people say, oh, wait, I need that too. Like, thank you. Like when you said she created it, she needed it, that's exactly what happened.
Yes.
And then this whole community came. So now when I see someone wearing a Peace Love Autism shirt or wearing something say, yeah, I'm like, yeah, like you get it. Or, you know, talking with you guys, it's like, when you open up and share, that's how relationships are built, that's how community is built, that's how safe space is built. It's like, that's what we need. And if you're crying, I feel okay to cry. I mean, I think if I'm crying, you're not necessarily going to feel the same way because I cry a lot. But you know what I mean? If the person who you don't expect to have all those feelings and like true deep emotions does it, God, that's safe for me. You know, like I can do that.
I don't want to let that fly over what you said. It is so hard to ask for help. So it's always bittersweet the first time a student asks me for help, because obviously they need something, but it's like, it's good because it's like, I know that you trust me a little bit, you know what I mean? And because I know you don't want to do this, you know what I mean? So it's just like being able to be that person that you can come to for that, you know what I mean? However I can help, you know what I mean? It's cool, but knowing that they're not just like carrying that, you know what I mean? It's like they get to, you know, walk away or go home that night knowing that somebody else is there to help them to figure it out, you know what I mean? I feel like that is like the key thing to everything that we're doing. It's like, if we can't get that door open, then it's like there isn't really no door, you know what I mean?
100%, yeah.
It's feeding energy. Like when you were just talking a second ago and you said she did, and then how you just said, you said, yeah. And you just said that now, and you can feel the energy in it. So then it automatically attracts my energy, and then on. And when we moved on the board, like you said, when the kid comes to you, like, yeah, like, okay, I get to help you. I've been waiting for this little fool to come to me, right?
For sure.
And it's sometimes how we present it. If we present it with that conviction, then they come to us. If we turn them on, they're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. And then they believe in it.
Yeah, and they don't get to see what I get to see, the beauty that you guys feel when that happens, right? Like DJ was in tears one day with just like sadness and joy and pride at a kid's needs that he was able to meet, right? And like that's gorgeous and is the beauty of getting to do this work, but also getting the beauty to be in this community and in our students' lives and, you know, like make it happen, right?
Yeah. This is a bittersweet because no matter what we do, I don't care where we are, you as a mother, me as a father with children like that, or just dealing with all the youth we deal with, we still end up with expectations.
Yeah.
And they're not always met the way that our mind, like, wow, you got this, this, and this. How come you can't get that?
Right.
No, you can get that. And then we get overly hyper-focused on you can get that, where we have to come back to where are other wins, because that win can be a stunt. And it can stunt them because we're trying to push something.
Yeah.
And I always remember there's an African proverb that says, if you judge a fish on how it climbs a tree, it will be a failure its whole life. And that was really heavy, and I always have to catch myself, okay, this may not be them.
Yeah.
But these other things are. So all these wins are just as powerful, and I have to always tell myself that. You know, like I told you, like when you talk about kids being mean to each other, right? My own grandson will try to clown my daughter.
Yeah.
And there's a moment it breaks my heart because you can just see the energy in her eyes just go really dim, and then she's always loud around, and she'll disappear for a minute. And so those things have to come back, and how do I rebuild that? How do I do something with that? Because she's taking trauma right now, and it's real trauma, and it's going to affect her somewhere else in life. And how do I unheavy that trauma right now. So it's still there. I can't take what's in that memory
Yeah.
bank, but how do I take it to where it's not weighed so heavy you're sitting in a room?
Yeah.
You know, and I think about that really heavy. And then I think about our youth that don't have the special needs, but they have the rest of their lives are broken.
Yeah.
And I have to go there and say, okay, you're going through these same learning imbalances.
Yeah.
And how do I make sure I don't give up on you? How do I make sure that when I leave, okay, you didn't do this today. Yes. And we did a little bit of that. Okay, a little bit of better than nothing. I'll take a little bit, then I'll take a little bit more, then I'll take a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, and it's finding that and running with that. I think that helps us. I think us to become sane, because
Yeah.
our jobs, we're parents. We're like, oh, okay, you'll be okay. And you know, and like my Michelle said the other day, we talked about our kids, our older kids, possibly moving out and getting into their own house. And she said, I don't want them. They're grown. They're grown with kids.
Yeah.
But she doesn't want them to leave
Yeah.
because that empty nest, I think, is more for our mental. I think we become that protector. Like if you're in your own house, what if you didn't lock the front door? What if the fire is on and you're not putting it out? What if you left and I think as parents we're so scared of everything, and we have to start figuring out where their little wins and where our slowly step backs. Okay, you're gonna fall down. Okay, you got up. Good, you got up. We do this, and then they go,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, oh, good. I know to scrape my knees too. And then they get up and keep moving. And we have to do that from all ages and all perspectives.
Well, and it makes me wonder too, like we have to, it's still like a removal. It's funny because the last podcast I was on, we talked about expectations, right? And so it's like we want the expectations, but we have to adjust and celebrate the wins so that way they keep manifesting
Yes.
the yet.
Yes.
But then when they fall down, it's not the, oh my God, are you okay? It's, how's your body?
Yep.
How are you feeling about that? I feel that way too. Let's keep moving, you know? And so it's like this weird balance of like, I want to hold you to a higher standard. I believe that you can, but I'm not going to be disappointed when your progress is a step compared to someone else's progress who's a lead, right? Like, I don't know, it's interesting because as we're talking, I'm just like, yeah, but you want to balance it because you don't want to be that parent that like I saw his dad at a park in San Mateo with his son, and every time the son threw the football poorly, he had to do 20 push-ups. And the poor son was not equipped to do 20 push-ups. Bless him.
That's G. That's why G's laughing.
But here's the
That's
thing.
G.
Here's the thing. The kid clearly didn't want to be playing football, much less
Oh my
striving
God.
to be better. Now, if that was Remy would be like, I'm going to throw every throw as best as I can, and I'm going to be doing those push-ups myself to be better because he wants.
Sure.
That's what he wants, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like this balance of like, what do you? I want what the kid wants. And I want to help them figure that out so I can help them. I don't want to put what I want on them. You know?
So there's a key word you said. You said it 3 times.
What I say?
Balance. Balance. And balance.
Yeah.
And it is the most important thing, because if you put somebody, I've always said this with parents will bring a kid into, whether I used to be a football coach, I was all these different coaches, into the gym, whether it's jiu-jitsu, boxing, all that, and they drop their kid off, and then their kid don't want to go be there, so they take their kid out. And I'm like, you leave your kid there for 6 months. You
Yeah.
never take your kid out for 6 months,
Right.
so they have an understanding of it.
Yeah.
And then they can go like, I've been here and I watch people come behind me. Oh, I have advanced.
Yeah.
And they have something to balance out and go. Because by going like, this doesn't work, they never found a balance and they left.
Yeah.
And then also it's like it's coming home to the parents. Once again, okay, if you can see that kid is crying, then what are you doing? You're taking the fun away. If you take the fun away, they no longer want to be there.
Yeah.
So correct, I do wear them out when this is what they want. When they're clear,
Yeah.
I need another one. Like this morning, I'm working out with 4 of them, and every time I pick it up, this is the now, and I'm on them right because
Yeah.
there is no seconds lost, no
Right.
seconds lost. With the little kids, it's 4, perfect. Okay, step back, ready, let's start. 4, step back, and then now who can run to the wall the fastest? And then they sprint. Now it becomes fun. And then we bring it back,
Yeah.
and I have to find those balances, and we do that in youth classes. So if you come to any of our classes, there's a class, a 4 o'clock class. The last 15 minutes is all